You are about to experience the Life Science Effect Solo Edition. Trying something a little different this episode. This isn't exactly about life sciences, although the application should become clear by the end. I hope you like it. I'm telling a story this week about something that just happened just yesterday at work. And it's about culture. It's about how leaders influence culture. It's a story about an interaction I had with an employee that I hope we both learned something from. I know I did. I had plenty of time to think about it afterwards. And, well, I'll let the story speak for itself. Apologies in advance. I recorded it within hours after the incident as I was sitting in my car in the parking lot at work. So the audio may not be up to the normal fantastic level that you're used to. I thought about re-recording it, maybe writing something and then reordering it and making it sound more professional and better. And then I thought, no, you know what? Then it wouldn't be in the moment as it was and fresh as I was coming off of that particular incident. So I hope you enjoyed it. It's about safety, culture, and keeping our workers and each other, looking out for each other so that we don't go home hurt from the workplace, which I think has a tie into life sciences, as you'll see in my story. So without further ado, enjoy the story. I wanted to tell you a story today about an incident that happened to me just a few hours ago. It didn't happen to me. It occurred. And it's not exactly life sciences, but it's a reminder of why we're in the business we're in the first place. I am currently running a big project for a client. It's an industrial manufacturing client, pharmaceuticals. And safety is the case at a lot of companies. Safety is a very important thing to this company. The safety culture is excellent, and they have a very good record of making sure everyone goes home uninjured at the end of the day. And part of a project manager's job is to enforce this culture of safety. So it's not just getting things done on time, under budget, and within scope, but it's also making sure that all the workers go home safe at the end of the day. Well, sometimes we have vendors come in and work on our equipment who may not understand that culture, may not know why we do it that way or what all the requirements are. As I was leaving today, one of our maintenance managers reminded one of these vendor workers of a task they forgot to do before they left. And it happens to be taking your safety lock off of the equipment so that you can put it back on at the beginning of the next day. And the vendor was super unhappy about that. They were annoyed that they had to go back in, gown up into the clean area. Gowning takes time, and it's annoying, and having to go back in there and get their locks off. And they, instead of just saying, okay, sorry, we forgot, and going back in and do it, they decided to complain and say how annoying it was, and they couldn't believe it. And I overheard this, so I went over and let the vendor know that it's not an option. It's not optional for them. They need to follow our safety procedures and our safety culture. And I could tell they were frustrated. I understand. They're finishing up a long day. They're far away from home, and now they were getting ready to go to the hotel, get something to eat, and relax a little bit. Now they have to go back in and do this thing. And I understand that sort of frustration. But I explained to them, it's not optional, and the problem is this vendor has a reputation for not working safely sometimes and not being happy about following our safety procedures. So I let them know that, and I let them know that the real possibility was they wouldn't be allowed back on site if they did not follow our procedures and refrain from complaining and saying how annoying it is that we expect them to work safely. So what that reminded me of, it's not really life sciences, and it's kind of a departure from what I've been doing lately with the startup stories and the entrepreneurialism and so forth. But it is a reminder of why we do what we do. We make medicine, we make medical devices, we make diagnostics, we run hospitals, all with the goal of making people healthier, helping people recover from injuries and illnesses, to diagnose disease so that they can be treated. It's all about saving lives and keeping people healthy. Well, if we're serious about that, and I believe we all are, that includes not wanting our workers and the people who have dedicated their lives to this business, not wanting them to go home hurt. What kind of business would we be in if we make medicine and devices to help people get better after getting injured, but we don't walk the talk and keep them, do everything we can to help them not get injured in the first place? It reminds me also of some of the workplace health initiatives that some corporations, hospitals are doing. And there's software out there that a lot of companies are offering and adopting that helps the workforce be healthier, make better choices in what they eat, and help them exercise, and the mindfulness and all of the things that lead to a healthy life. I remember many years ago when workplaces first started to disallow smoking, and there was a lot of uproar. And after giving it some thought, I thought, well, it makes sense. I mean, if you're in the business of health, then maybe allowing smoking on your campus does not support that mission. Another example of this is CVS no longer selling cigarettes. I mean, if they're or tobacco, and I mean, if they're in the business of helping people live healthier lives, then maybe selling those kinds of things doesn't contribute to that. There's plenty to be said for choice and individual choice, and people are responsible for their own actions at some point. But at the same time, we all, as organizations, as leaders, we have choices to make as well. And those choices are examples that we set for the people who are inspired by us and who are watching us and who are modeling their lives and careers after what we do and say. So it was an interesting story. I love the culture, the safety culture where I work. Yeah, is it sometimes overbearing and maybe a little bureaucratic and maybe too risk averse? Perhaps. There could be that argument made. At the same time, you can't argue with the results. I mean, people rarely go home hurt from this place, and that's something to really be proud of. And that takes culture. That takes repeatedly adhering to procedures, and that takes looking out after each other even when it might be uncomfortable. I hope you enjoyed that little story. Again, thanks for listening. If you stuck around this far, then you probably did pick up something, maybe, I hope. Shoot me an email at steven.vinson@bpm-associates.com and let me know what you thought. Even if you hated it, I promise we'll return to more typical life science topics in the next episode. In the meantime, stick around till late summer, early fall, and we'll get back to having guests. If you enjoyed what you heard, or you enjoy the guest versions of these podcasts, feel free to tell a friend. Make sure you subscribe, and let me know by shooting me an email. Thanks for listening. You have just experienced the Life Science Effect. If you liked it, be sure and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. And more importantly, tell your colleagues, tell your boss, tell your friends. It'll make you look smart, and maybe it'll even get you a raise. Thanks again to our presenting sponsor, BPM Associates. Set your medical innovations in motion. BPM helps life science companies design, manage, and execute their most complex projects. What effect will you cause? Thanks to today's guest and to all of our guests. Who else should I be talking to? Send me an email at steven.vinson@bpm-associates.com. That's all for now. Thanks for listening. and go make something amazing happen.